Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with Codename Sugarplum, and there's a bit of a funny story here. We finished on this screen, but I accidentally pressed perhaps not at the end of the last episode, so this is actually a JPEG, but it's fine. We're going to read it and then we're just going to pretend that I pressed perhaps not. The Murgatroyd company operates numerous factories across London, except this one, because it just exploded recently. Now, Mr. Spices has assumed control, installing a cordon to quarantine the area. Neddy men stand on corners, special constables patrol the block, set on high alert, with new instructions to show trespassers no quarter. Now, I would scout the perimeter, but obviously I can't, so hopefully we will come back here at some point. It looks like we will. Jasper and Frank come up behind you on the street. They walk at your sides, one to the left, one to the right, and chat with a cheery disposition. Lovely weather for a ramble. Fog, bats, even more fog. Wouldn't want to spoil it with an argument, would we, Jasper? I'm sick of arguments, Frank. Had too many this week already. Well, let's have a chat with Jasper and Frank. These claymen didn't bump into you by accident. Jasper and Frank are enforcers who work for the Masters. But the Masters have diverse and sometimes opposing agendas. During disputes between their employers, they may try to thread the needle. But time and time again, when a compromise can't be achieved, the claymen know where their loyalty must fall. Mr. Stones has an interest in a certain factory, Jasper explains. You know the one, owned by Murgatroyd's company. Currently placed under lock and key by a third party whose name we'd rather not mention. Far too many arguments, says Frank. We know you want to get inside that factory. We can help. In exchange, you'll just have to give Mr. Stones whatever you find. Fair offer, wouldn't you say? That does seem surprisingly fair. Their influence might be useful if we accept their help, or we can decline their offer for now. Let's accept their offer. Very smart decision, Jasper says. One way or another, Mr. Stones always gets what it wants. So it's easier to play along, isn't it? Less arguing that way, Frank says, and less blood. For instance, just consider salt. Is it a seasoning? Yes, but it's a mineral first, so who gets to regulate the trade? Some people don't understand that Mr. Stones has a right to govern. They need to be reminded, don't they, Frank? Not just people, some masters need to be reminded too. Okay, so we've secured Jasper and Frank's assistance to infiltrate Murgatroyd's sugarless sugar factory. But you will still need to break other cryptograms before you can enter. We're going back into the cryptograms, are we? Oh boy. Should we go speak to the Bizarrine correspondent? Let's see. If I have information that might help, I'd be happy to share. Oh god, we can ask her about the missing fragment. During your investigation, you intercepted this message at a tea parlour. Just as I suspected, another copy. I wondered if you'd find one. She pauses to collect her thoughts, sipping more jasmine tea and dropping more Murgatroyd's sugarless sugar cubes into her cup. You've already seen how these messages decode each other. That's the curious thing. They aren't unique. They're meant to be found and decrypted by more than one agent. Who knows how many copies might exist? What I don't understand is why a clandestine network would take such a risk. If there are any more copies, there's also a greater potential to get caught. A valid point. Did I ask her about the message in the biscuit box? Yes, I have. Okay. Alright, so we learned something new about the missive, but that is it. Look inside the safe. Ooh, can I? What might she keep locked in there? You'd need the combination. Do I have the combination? Uh-oh. Of course. The Hamburg alphabet. The review in the New Frey Press. The coordinates and the cobbles. They're all elements in the same composition. Numbers click inside your head. Tumblers click inside the safe. Exquisitely compliant to the combination you've deduced. There's a thunk as something mechanical slides into place. The handle that you're holding glows dull orange, bright yellow, white. Smoke rises from the dial. Fiery lines blaze across the metal, burning through the surface from inside. This all happens in less time than it takes to blink, or for your brain to register the handle's heat. Damn it! If you were able to look into the safe without opening it, you would see 6 sigils engraved inside the door. You would also see a 7th sigil engraved on the mechanical bar that just slid into place, become suddenly flush with the previous 6. You would see these sigils start to burn. You do see them burn through the door in your mind, branding your hand and igniting your thoughts. Okay, we can try to pull open the door, grit your teeth, shut your eyes, ignore that sizzling sound. A scholar of the correspondence gives us a 32% chance, or we can release the burning handle quickly before you lose your fingers, or your sanity. Well, we have to try and pull open the door. You pull open the door. There's nothing inside but more fire. Now the safe is swelling. Brilliant lines crisscross the metal, chasing each other as they elaborate themselves. Calligraphic swirls and flaming arabesques. Hotter, brighter. 9! Screams the Bizarrine correspondent, yanking you backwards before the sigils explode. All the newspapers, blown into the air, drift down again as cinders. Mangled slabs thud on the floor as the safe falls apart. And the fires die, each spark fizzling. The Bizarrine correspondent collapses into the chair. That was close, she says breathlessly. We both have some explaining to do. We did fail. Bit of a shame, we gained some wounds there. I suppose I asked for that, she says, wiping soot from her hands. Whenever you keep a weapon in the house, you do so at your own peril. And I think I can guess why you tried to open it. You must have decrypted the combination, which means someone encrypted it, which means I am being targeted. I wasn't wrong to set that trap. We can ask about the nature of the trap. After image is still burning behind your eyes. Certain sigils combust when grouped together. 7 in a sequence. That will do it quite dependably. Some burn hotter, some cooler, some for a minute, some for an hour, others for even longer. I tried to research sigils that would burn with an appropriate temperature and duration, and I carved them into the safe. He looks at the debris. But I think I miscalculated. You notice the stains on her fingers again. Bluish ink. Violent ink, actually, he explains. It's better for writing the correspondence. Okay, so what was in the safe? What was she protecting that warranted such an elaborate defense? I was protecting my life. What else? I knew that if someone in the network tried to target me, and if they found a safe in my flat, they would probably try to crack it. I never kept anything important in the safe. Everything that matters, he taps her head, is right here. Well, we can ask about the correspondence. She is a Bizarrine correspondent in more than one sense. Correspondence, she says, her voice trembling with reverence. It is a language written in light, spoken by the faces behind God's mask. Its grammar binds the world together. Its sigils are burning on the bazaar. I've made it my life's work to study them. Others would think that I'm mad, but you know that I speak the truth. If you don't know, you're going to learn soon. We can search the safe. Is anything salvageable in this mangled heap? Mangled or not, these sigils could bear further study. But this loose floorboard under the heap is what really catches your eye. The blank paper under the floorboard is even more interesting, and the message on the paper, written with invisible ink, is more interesting still. If you haven't opened the safe yet, don't. If you have, good job on staying alive. In either case, you're reading this, which means you have the ciphers. Sugarplum is the seed. Wear warm clothes and thank me later. This is not the Bizarring correspondent's handwriting. You have learned an additional seed that you can use to decrypt messages. Ah, hello. Well, let's go see if we can do some decrypting. I have a funny feeling this is the next exceptional story. I was like, hang on a minute, what's this? On the trail of the missing dachshund. Let's fiddle with the copper cipher ring. And we will use Sugarplum as the seed. Who knows what secrets this codename might unlock? 9 letters, dachshund. 9 letters, Sugarplum. 9 combinations that click as wheels spin on the ring. The name is the seed, and the seed can crack each message you've obtained. Another layer opens like a hidden drawer inside a desk, allowing you to pull out information that's been right here all along. Let's just start at the top and work our way down. Let's decrypt the half-burned missive. Put this letter from the Bizarring correspondent's fireplace, yield results. Now that you've obtained the missing fragment, you can determine beyond any doubt that decrypting the half-burnt missive doesn't rely upon the text. At least not when you're applying a seed from another source. You just have to measure the paper's dimensions, divide by the width and the height, subtract the weight and drop the last 2 digits. So, we can extract information for a dossier. This cryptogram reveals an agent's identity and location. Is this address familiar? The Somnolent Stray. It's a honey den in Vale Garden, and the cryptogram reveals that an agent is quartered in a room upstairs. You extract more information. The agent is a woman. She has a background in the theatre. She has an addiction to prisoner's honey. That last point is what they call compromising in the game. Outside this honey den, there's a sign with a sleeping dachshund. Nobody stops you to ask any questions when you ascend the rickety staircase to the 2nd floor. You find a room that must be very cheap to let. One corner boasts a bare mattress, a cracked mirror hangs above a candle-clogged dressing table, and trunks overflow with assorted outfits. Let's search the dressing table. It wouldn't look out of place backstage at a theatre. At this point, perhaps it's less than surprising to find Murgatroyd's fungal crackers on the dressing table with the candles. There are also faux almond flakes, patented by the Murgatroyd company for their premium fungal blancmange, peppered amongst the cosmetics in the drawers. Why shouldn't a lady indulge in a nibble or two while she powders her face? Oh yes, and there are weapons, pistols, daggers, poisons in tinted bottles, a garrote still crusted with blood, and prisoner's honey, naturally. Well, let's sort through the overflowing trunks. A person's choice in clothing can tell you a lot about them. 1 black dress, 1 white apron, 1 ruffled maid's bonnet, 1 black and white habit befitting an abbess, complete with a matching wimple. Soot-stained garments and a cap begrimed from sweeping chimneys. There are also quite a few ordinary clothes, remarkable for being unremarkable. Hats that would catch nobody's eye, gowns with faded colours, moth-eaten overcoats that someone could disappear inside, and a knitted wool cardigan for a small dog. Let's prepare for a confrontation. You hear a rickety staircase creak. Someone is coming. The incognito agent doesn't attack when she sees you. Instead, she pauses after opening the door, one hand still on the knob. This time, she's dressed in diamonds, perfumed, bundled in furs from a night at the opera. An enigmatic countess to anyone who doesn't know better. But you know better. She walks past you and sits on the mattress. She begins to peel away her opera gloves. I've tried to kill you twice, she says. I know when I'm at a disadvantage. I won't try again. Not here, not now. So congratulations. You caught me. Hey, we got some diamonds. As she speaks, she dismantles herself. Earrings unhooked, hairpins pulled out, furs tossed aside onto the mattress. Her voice is tired. She looks past you, staring into space, with eyes that still gleam from her last honey dream. What do you want to know? You're here to learn something, and I'm too exhausted to run or fight or lie. This has been a very long week. I'm ready for it to end. I want to ask why she tried to kill us. It might be nice to learn the reason behind your attempted murder. We're both playing the game. You ought to know the rules. Sometimes pieces have to be removed for a greater strategy. Sometimes they're just in the way. In your case, you're dangerous. Look at yourself. Your very presence in this room is a threat to my life. I've killed for less. Okay, let's ask about the great game. What role is she playing? Where does she get her orders? I'm an actress. Was. That career is long over. But I still know how to be somebody else. I started taking contracts when I needed money. Then I needed more. Contracts got bigger. Everything else got smaller. This is what's left. How does it look? She asks with an ambiguous smile, gesturing around the room with an opera glove in one hand. She casually tosses the glove into the trunk. My orders come from Mr. Spice's. Next question. Well, let's ask about her eyes. Anyone would be able to tell that she has tasted prisoner's honey. Yes, I need honey. I know that you'll judge me. Everybody does. The first time I tasted it, it was the most wonderful thing. Now, all these years later, it still is. Mr. Spice's supplies me, and I supply Mr. Spice's with intelligence. I would do anything to dream well in this city. She meets your gaze, lucid and unashamed. Approve, disapprove, I don't care. London wouldn't be London if anyone had sympathy. You'd never understand unless you know the hunger yourself. Well, we can ask about Sugarplum. Perhaps she can finally tell you about the lost dachshund. Yet all of this, we're looking for a dog. Sugarplum is my dog. I use his name to encrypt messages. He was the only companion I had left. Now he's gone too. I thought the masters might be responsible. As far as I can tell, they're not. But they know what's happening. Mr. Spice's has the answer locked inside that factory. You'll want the combination to the doors, I suppose. He provides it with no resistance at all. That should be everything then, isn't it? You don't have to talk anymore. You can finish what you came to do. I knew my luck had run out someday. She has taken the time to steady her breathing and focus on a candle's flame. I just wanted to come to terms with it first. Thank you for giving me the chance. It's more than I did for you, and more than Mr. Spice's would do for me. I'm compromised now, but I'll never stop playing the game. Somebody like you will have to make me. But we have three options. We can remove her from the great game permanently. This will increase your reputation as a bringer of death. Oh dear. Remove her from the great game temporarily. She is telling the truth. She will never stop playing, but she could leave London. This will be your only chance to facilitate an escape for her. Or we can recruit her to infiltrate the factory. She works for Mr. Spice's. She could help bypass the constables on patrol. This will be your only opportunity to recruit the incognito agent to your cause. If you decide to recruit her, then Jasper and Frank will not assist you. If you do not recruit her, then Jasper and Frank will be your only choice. Well, the only thing I will say is I don't fancy removing her from the game permanently. Seems a little bit mean. Do I want to help her escape, or do I want her help full stop? Going with the incognito agent is a little better than Jasper and Frank because it's not related to the masters in any way, so let's go with this. Recruit her to infiltrate the factory. Another angle. Now I see. Well, you arranged this smartly. I thought I was already dead. But you need someone inside, and I'm someone inside. it's true. I can get you back into the factory. Not that you've given me a choice. You know more than I do. And now I know it. That's all it takes to hold a hostage in the game. She flops back on the mattress, exhaling a long breath, and then laughing as she stares at the ceiling. What a week, she says. It just won't end. We've secured the incognito agent's assistance to infiltrate Murgatroyd's sugarless sugar factory. You may still need to break other cryptograms before you can enter. Yes, we have more things to break here. We are going to fiddle with the copper cipher ring. We're going to take Sugarplum's the seed. And we are going to have a look at the biscuit box. Oh, it's exactly the same thing. This cryptogram reveals an agent's identity in London and location. This intelligence might have been helpful to learn earlier, particularly the details concerning the safe. But it's nevertheless beneficial to see all these points about the Bizarrine correspondent spelled out so explicitly. She is a correspondent for the New Frey Press. She is also a scholar of the correspondence with an expertise in Bizarrine sigils. She belongs to an undercover network that disseminates messages via Murgatroyd Company products. Her skill as a correspondent is vital for interpreting classified plans which pertain to a weapon under development by foreign powers. These plans are the network's target. You also decrypt her address, but you already knew that as well, didn't you? I did indeed. Should we speak to her and be like, excuse me, I just found this thing and it's kind of told me who you are. Ask about the great game. She is a spy in a larger network. It's undeniable now. I was never a very good liar, says the Bizarrine correspondent. After you opened the safe, I knew you'd be back again soon. No denying the truth. You're correct. I am a spy. When she starts speaking, she's still glancing over her shoulder, whispering and occasionally fidgeting. By the time she finishes, you're interviewing another person. Someone more relaxed, assured, with a much better posture. It seems I still owe you some explanations. In the newspaper business, you're about to get what could be called a scoop, but I'd strongly advise against publication. She is still willing to humour your questions. After all, you've humoured quite a lot on her behalf. Now you're attuned to her every movement. When she blinks, when she doesn't, how often she frowns, frequently, or smiles, almost never. But she isn't concerned with your analysis. She drinks more tea and leans back in her chair. Let's ask about her profession. Is she really a journalist or not? What's her angle? As I said, I'm a poor liar. It's better for me to present myself as I really am. So yes, I am a journalist. That's also why I'm a spy. Everything I told you about investigating the network is the truth. I've gone undercover to trace all these connections to the source, if there is a single source. I have reason to believe there is. Someone is pulling the strings, pitting agents against each other, and I want to know why. What I've already learned could shake Europe. Let's ask about the undercover network. You know that Murgatroyd's company is involved. Mr. Murgatroyd himself only plays a small role. His job for the network is to expand the Murgatroyd company, which is the same job he would have at the Murgatroyd company without the network. So in a very real and legal sense, he doesn't have a job for the network. Curious how that works, isn't it? She explains how other agents operate in factories. The greater the company's reach, the more widely these agents can distribute encrypted products. But the Murgatroyd company is just one node in the network. Don't overestimate their importance. Whatever they're distributing, it comes from higher up. Well, let's ask about the network's target. One cryptogram hinted at plans for developing a weapon. That is the memento mori out of From the Seas. Not just plans, the bomb already exists. One prototype destroyed a factory. Now Mr. Spices has it. If only you knew what power that master is clutching in his petty claws. Power enough to change the world. There has been no other bomb with such destructive, not potential, but inevitability. It is the only bomb that matters. Do you understand what I mean? She compares a single grain of sand to all the sand on all the shores on every continent. The grain is my exploding safe. Next to the bomb, it was a toy. Oh my god. Let's ask about Sugarplum. About time she started telling you what she really knows. I don't know what happened to Sugarplum. That's the truth. I really did think that someone with exceptional deductive reasoning might be able to help. And you've been a great help. Shaking branches, making clues drop out, moving the target from my back to yours. Most pawns are captured before they can advance as far as I've managed to do. I'm weak, you see. Disposable to the network, identical with every other pawn. Takes a long sip from her teacup. Unless I make it to the other side. She sets the empty teacup down. You pause no more. If you were at a restaurant, this is where she would ask for the bill. You have your scoop. Be careful what you do with it. The great game has been known to punish mistakes. Yes, if a pawn makes it to the other side of the board, it becomes a queen? Makes some sense. Right. On the trail again, we have the knife to do, I believe. The broken stiletto. Okay, reveals an agent's identity and location. I assume this is going to be the man from the climbing club. Yes, the subalpine club. And you already know this agent, the renowned mountaineer. But now you know something else. The assassin who attacked you with the broken stiletto must have also decrypted this information from the blade. She followed the same exact lead to the club. There's more. The details provide you with the specific features to investigate in the building. Has this intelligence been compromised? Or did you interrupt the assassin before she could uncover anything herself? Okay, we know that no one is here, but apparently we can pull an ice axe mounted in the lounge. It's still covered in dust. It hasn't been touched recently. A camouflaged panel slides open behind a taxidermied polar bear. You step into a hidden room no bigger than a broom closet. The walls are lined with shelves, which are lined with boxes. Each box holds an identity, passports, diplomas, marriage certificates, funds in foreign currencies. The renowned mountaineer, it turns out, is every single member who belongs to the subalpine club. There are also blueprints here. They represent a factory floor plan. Something gives you an idea, and you test for invisible ink. Annotations bloom across the paper. The renowned mountaineer really is good at this, isn't he? So we have done everything, I feel? Do we think we can get in to the sugarless sugar factory? We can indeed. We can speak with the incognito agent again. We can scout the perimeter. Let's scout the perimeter. This is what I didn't do before. You might be able to learn something from a distance. Even the office attached to the factory is inaccessible now. Your earlier visit appears to have heightened the master's paranoia. Have you ever seen so many constables dispatched before? The bazaar itself isn't this fortified by the police. Despite the explosion, the factory walls are intact. The windows have all been blown out. The chimneys have collapsed. Rubble covers the surrounding streets, and there's a fine white powder everywhere. Sugarless sugar. It blankets nearby buildings, thickens the air like dust in an unswept parlour, and smells sweet enough to rot teeth with its odour alone. Let's speak with the incognito agent. She's dressed as a constable now, but you recognise the hunger in her eyes. The constables know I'm employed by Mr. Spices. They don't bother me. I'll escort you when you're ready, but we won't go to the office. That's where Mr. Spice is still celebrating this little coup. We'll visit the factory floor instead. What's left of it. She inhales deeply, smelling the sweet contamination. Even sweeter than honey. Delicious. I know we don't trust each other, but I want to find out what happened to Sugarplum too. I'll get us inside. Well, all roads, as they say. Let's finally see what's inside. Everywhere leads to the factory. Concord Square has deployed an army, and not a small one. The greatest crime guilds in the city would cower and flee. The masters themselves would make polite excuses to be somewhere else. Forests were felled to produce this many batons, mines exhausted to supply the metal for these guns. You're targeted from every side. Until the incognito agent steps forward. She strides through the officers without a word. They lower their arms and you slip along behind her. Constables grumble and grimace, bump you with their shoulders, spit at your feet, but let you pass. "Caught another one, eh?" asks a special constable at the gate. "How'd you do it this time? Dressed as a lumberjack? Set a bear trap?" "Nonsense, you know I save all my bear traps for you boys." With a grin, the special tips his hat to the incognito agent, then he opens the gate. You walk inside with her. The gate slams again with a clang.